be out there living our best life. But on the flip side of that, this is a good time of year to just take some me time and just veg out a little bit and relax. There's absolutely nothing wrong with doing that occasionally, right?
Absolutely. Now, I will say this. I want to preface this, and it's just coming up. I didn't even make this in my notes, but it just kind of popped into my mind.
Oh,
I
no.
think that you have to be, so it's a good time to have a conversation about you and I. You're going to think, some of you out there might think, oh my gosh, these guys are so lame. But I have to be very responsible for what goes in my brain because it doesn't leave it. And I think that there's a good and a bad place that we can take TV. I think that TV can help grow our minds and it can help enrich our lives. And, we've heard this for millennia. I mean, Mr. Rogers told us this, right? Like TV can be a good thing.
Yeah.
But it also can not be. And when I say that it's not a good thing, I mean, like, I hate the feeling of watching a show that is so gritty and so dark and so full of despair, but even if they tell like an amazing story and the characters are so well developed, it feels like it doesn't feel good. It doesn't really, it never leaves me. And so we're going to talk about it. And if that's, if you love all the shows, great. But we're just going to talk about the ones that we have loved that have just been a little bit on the friendlier side for women.
So it's so funny you say that because I was putting together.
Did I say that well? I don't think I did.
No, you did, but I'm glad that you said it because I would have prefaced that too. Because as I was putting together my list, I was like, "Oh, these are all like you're not going to get any like crime, like you're not getting yes, you're
and
not
by
getting
the way,
that."
I've heard it's amazing, and Ken watches it. Your husband, I mean, oh yeah, he's watched that show.
He has.
He's watched all those shows.
Well, now I'm not watching them with him. No. I'm the same as you. I just can't my idea of a good time is not watching something that stresses me out or something that has violence or something. Right. Not to put down on anyone that likes that, but that's not what you're going to hear about. Just prefacing. Yeah. Exactly. I like a good show that'll I love historical. Yeah. I will watch a documentary, but historical fiction type shows like Downton Abbey. I want to talk about that. It's one of my favorites. I don't have that. But I also like shows that are just funny, just for the sake of being lighthearted and funny. And there's really no added value except that you laugh. So that's probably a lot of what you're going to get from us today, right? Would you say?
Yeah. And hopefully we give you a few that you haven't heard of or ones that you haven't tried. Or you've heard of, then maybe you trust us a little bit, or you're the same type of person where you have to be really careful about what you watch, or else you'll have nightmares and dreams, and then you'll be
so
wrapping your children in, bubble wrap because you're worried about all the bad things. You can't, here's my thing. You can't unsee something. If it's really, there's just certain things I don't know. For us to stay hopeful, for us to stay in growth mode, I just don't know that we need to do that for entertainment. I just don't know that we need to sit down and watch that for entertainment.
I agree with you. For me, the world has enough of its own problems. I don't want to necessarily be seeing that and feeling it in the shows that I watch. Anyway, I digress. Let's talk. Because keep in mind too, as we talk through this, another point that we should make is that anytime you're laughing, I mean, there's the old adage, laughter is good for the soul, but it's actually doing something. It's stimulating your vagus nerve, which is the nerve in your body that it starts at your brain. It goes down the length of your digestive system. It stimulates digestion and it puts you into a rest mode, right? Yeah. It takes you out of a stressful. So what better time than now to be, and it's such a simple thing we can do. So
I love to laugh. And I think when you put it in that terms, it's it's not indulgent at all. Laughing at something funny is actually good for your health. So
it really
I love where you were starting. You said that you love the historical. That's something that's new for me. I didn't think I was really interested in that, but there's been a few shows that I've watched that have combined that. I'm learning. And so now as a learner, I'm ooh, I kind of like this. So I get to learn about a time in a period in time. And so that's why I love when it's historical.
Yeah.
And then you get all these amazing fictional characters and beautiful landscapes and stuff. So let's start with one, throw one out there.
Well, I mentioned I don't even know if we should talk about Downton Abbey because everybody has probably seen it. That might be a been there, done that. But if you have not.
Oh, go there. And actually, I want to rewatch it. It's been so long. I could rewatch
it's
that.
just as hard. Now we're talking about everything being lighthearted. This is not an altogether lighthearted. I mean, there is some hard moments. It's historical. It takes you through. It's World War I, right?
So let's break that down. Why is that different?
Huh?
Why is that different?
For us?
Yeah. Huh.
I don't like the not that war crimes, obviously. It wasn't a lot of, for me, there wasn't a lot of visual, like it didn't show, like you weren't in
gory.
There wasn't a lot of gore, it wasn't graphic. And I don't like violence is really hard for me. There wasn't a lot of violence.
Yeah, I agree with you. And it was just more or less like a connection to that time and period, like where they went through that. And you can't also, that's something that I think is really beneficial from historical fiction. It helps you appreciate where we are. It helps you to look back and learn about,
absolutely,
you know, where we've come from.
Sure.
And yeah, I mean, I love historical fiction and historical shows.
And that show in particular too, there is such strong female characters.
Yes.
In a time where women are just starting to stand up for themselves and fight. I mean, there's just so much good to be had in that. The costumes, the design, that everything. And then
language.
There's the movies after. It's just is so And I actually tour the Abbey. Did you know that? That's a real place.
Oh.
Because Sarah and I looked at going there and like going to London and then going to tour the Abbey. Yeah. Anyway, that's one of my absolute hands down favorites of all time.
Love it.
And that's on PBS, right? Like that's where would you find that? Amazon Prime?
That is PBS, but yes, I think it's Amazon.
It's on Amazon. Yeah. That's a great one.
Yep. So this is a new one, maybe one you haven't heard of.
Oh, that's on my list.
And it's also historical, I hope. We did some research on it, my husband and I, because we were both really into it. So this is one that maybe you and your husband can watch, which is always a challenge for us. That
is a big challenge. And Kenny and I love to find a show.
Mark was not down for the Downton Abbey.
No, right? Kenny didn't watch that either. No. You know who told me about, or no? Moving on. So this show that I'm thinking of, I watched recently, and it's definitely binge-worthy. It's called The Offer, and it's about the making of the Godfather movie. Good. Miles Teller is in it. I want to say the guy from Top Gun that brought the mustache back. Yes. Not happy about that.
Yes. Just there's great actors in that movie.
So speaking of Downton Abbey, Mary's husband that's in Downton Abbey is the producer in The Offer.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes. Which I love.
The race car driver. Every single character is great.
Yeah. It's so well done. It's that Hollywood glam, and it was in the 60s,
70s. Yeah.
And just like, some of the things that happened back in those days, like just to think how regulated we are now. And we think about how, things are wild now. It was really like, kind of the Wild West at times, when you hear about some of those stories, it's like, did that really happen? And I for one, I love hearing about that. So,
oh, it's so good. I love once again the dress and that, like the style, that the music, the way and you said it was about the making of The Godfather, right? So you're even getting, I didn't know this. Now I haven't gone back to watch that movie because that's one is graphic.
Yeah, we keep saying we will, and we haven't.
Yeah, and I haven't either. But it gives you didn't realize like it's like the mafia in New York at the time was like ticked off about this movie coming out. And Frank Sinatra was mad about it. He's in the movie. So you get this whole background of how that book was put together. And Mario Puzo, right, was the guy that initially wrote it. Like, it's just a really well done. And the storyline is great. The character, all of it. I just really enjoyed it. And that's not one, we started off saying like how all these movies were laughing. This isn't one that you're going to be necessarily laughing. There might be moments, but it's not a comedy. You wouldn't.
No, but it moves fast. I think nowadays I appreciate a show that kind of moves along pretty fast. I think that most of us are that way. We only have so much limited time.
Yeah.
And so what's nice about that, it was like a limited series, right?
Yeah.
It was like, I don't know, 10 episodes.
I think it was about that. I was so sad when that was over.